I want to welcome Agile XRM to the podcast. I've known the people at Agile XRM for the past 12 years. I've seen how their business process management tool can add massive value to complex organizational processes in sectors such as finance and government. If you have complex processes or a need for dialogues on the Power Platform or Dynamics 365, take a look at how this BPM tool can add value. You can find them at agilexrm.com or check out the show notes for more details. Welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Auckland, New Zealand, so my home country. He's the Senior Product Manager at Datacom. He's been an MVP for about 7-8 years now. I'll let him confirm that in a moment. He's the lead of the New Zealand Dynamics 365 user group, and has been for as long as I have, I wouldn't say as long as I've known him, since it started, because he was one of the co-founders with myself and launching that group many eons ago. He loves horse racing. He's a horse racing fanatic. He's a former owner of Jennifer Eccles, did really well, paid out well. He's now looking for a new racehorse. You can find him on Twitter at It's Grego, or his blog, yellowduckguy.wordpress.com. Greg Olsen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. Good to have me on board today. Thank you for having me here today. Yeah, it is 7 years MVP, and yeah, you are right. We did start back in 2010 with that user group. So, we were the co-founders of that. So that's still ticking off. And it has been a long time. Yeah, we had our first session just this month for 2022. So it was good to get that underway. And obviously with the Power Platform coming into the mix, we had to do a name change like everyone else. And so it's now the Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform user group. So, yeah, that's still good. Yep.
Nice. I want to, get your opinions and unpack a bit of that in a moment. But before we do, a lot of folks kind of like to know who, where you're from, etc. So let's talk about, a bit about your family, maybe food, what you're into, and what you do for entertainment that involves killing deer. I mean, what do you do for entertainment?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, so born and bred Kiwi. Actually born and bred, and I don't go public too much with it, but Palmerston North. So Palmerston North is my hometown. That's where I sort of brought up, did all my schooling and university down there before, I'd say, moving up to Auckland. That's also career-wise bringing me up here. So been here since 2003. And just moving through the different partners and that. Family-wise, got 3 kids now. I know when we started the user group back in 2010, I don't think we either had any kids there, but now we're probably growing the pot bellies, probably got a few grey more hairs, and busy with the kids now. So three kids. They keep me busy. So 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old now. So it's quite full on. And got married in Rarotonga. So I'm looking to hopefully get back over there in June as well.
Very nice, very nice. And tell me, I because we're connected socially, I know that you have a range of sporting activities that you're into, like your horse racing, you go a bit of hunting. What else do you get up to?
Yep, so that's right. Yeah, so the horse racing, the hunting, and the fishing probably consume a lot of my time, but also a little bit of lifestyle work as well. So I currently live on a lifestyle block in Auckland, out by the Henua Falls, a little town called Henua. We've got a garage and a liquor store, funny enough, and a lottery store, and that's about it. But we're 15 k's away from the motorway and the main town of Papakura, so if we do want to duck in for supermarket and that sort of stuff, that's easy enough. But yes, and I've got a lifestyle block down in the Central Plateau area as well, a little town called Whango. So, so we're down there quite a bit, racing around on the quad bikes in our spare time, camping, connecting to the ski fields, and also for my hunting and fishing background as well, that's quite a central location to get out to all those areas, and also only a couple, 3 hours bound to Palmerston North for connecting with family and friends, and also doing a bit more of that hunting and fishing. So yeah, that's the sort of stuff I do. I'm a really big outdoors guy outside of the indoors IT world that we live in. So that's my way of just branching out and switching off the surface and getting outdoors. I absolutely love the outdoors.
And when we're talking about fishing, are we talking about sea or are we talking about trout?
So I do both. So I do have a boat. So I do get out into the Hauraki Gulf here in Auckland for sea fishing. So out with the snapper and the kahawai and the gurnard. But then it's the trout fishing, mainly spinner. So I do fly fishing, but really I love the spinner. So get out spin fishing. And I know the key rivers that I can connect to, a lot of good ones down in the Manawatu, Wairarapa area. And I sort of know where I can duck off if I need to for only a couple of hours and pick up a trout or four. Even through hunting, the regular duck shooting I do in May every year. So I do a bit of hunting there. It's come through the family really. So my whole family's come off the farm down there in a little town called Paiatua, just east of Palmerston North, over the ranges there. And yeah, so that's sort of come through the bloodlines, similar to the horse racing backgrounds. So it's all off the farm. So yeah, even trout fishing during duck shootings are quite a good combo. And the kids get involved as well. So my boy's going through it and he's involved as well.
Yeah, I've had duck shooters outside this weekend doing duck shooting because I'm surrounded in farmland and there's a lot of ducks around. So yeah, heard the guns going off. It's interesting where you live because I used to live just next door to there in a little hamlet called Ararimu. And we used to do our school events with Hunua School. So I know exactly the little, shop and stuff you're talking about. When we had our sports days, inter-school sports days across Paparimu, Ararimu, and Hunua, and I think Clevedon was the other fourth school in that mix.
Yeah, it's a great community we got here. And yeah, the kids are the same. They've done some of their swimming sports down there at the Paparimu school swimming pool. We've got one here across the road, so I live very close to the school. But yeah, when you get some of those sporting ones here down to Paparimu, yeah, great little community, great farming. Everyone's lovely out here, so yeah, it's really good.
Very nice, very nice. Tell me, how did you get into IT, and then from there, how did you transition into Microsoft Business Applications?
Yeah, IT sort of comes out from a very young age. I was always involved in computing as a young guy, and wanted to actually, rather than it being a job, just turn my hobby into an employed paid work, right? So decided to obviously cement it a bit more. Went to university in Massey in Palmerston North. I did transfer from a computer science engineering degree to more business focused. So I switched over to information systems and completed the last year at UCOL in Palmerston North. So that was, I wanted to do that business focus rather than doing the engineering and physics and maths sort of side of it. I really want to get back to the business side of it. And that's really where I excelled from there. So information systems was the background, and finished up there. I did work for the local council in Palmerston North, so rolled out an e-learning system back in the day with Microsoft Access as a back end and ASP Pages as the front end. So that's interesting where it's sort of gone today with the likes of SQL Server and ASP.NET Pages, and then moving off everything into the cloud as we know today. But yeah, things have changed from those times. But working through really started out as a developer, so a core developer, writing code, really got into the testing frameworks, and also around the days of ReSharper and those sort of testing toolkits before we had the build servers and Visual Studio build servers and things that we've got today, moving into DevOps. That's the key area that we worked in now. So I've seen the evolution of that change over the years, but moving through from a developer, worked into a technical leadership, started having some developers reporting underneath me. Then I really liked the area of solution architect, so building up over a number of years of experience to move into that solution architect role. And then before branching out then into what I call practice management or delivery, so running the practices, both from here in New Zealand and Australia for some of the some of the partners as well. And then today I've settled on moved away from the sort of practice delivery, so no one reporting to me at the moment, but moved into a senior product management role, so where I can sort of took three sort of areas that I really did love of IT as it's moved over the years into around pre-sales, done a lot of pre-sales works over the years, and also customer success. So I had a big drive with customer success. I saw where Microsoft was taking this a number of years ago, so I jumped on that bandwagon, and always I do in MVP area, evangelizing the products and building up internal products for the companies and going to market with those, and basically being out in the community, both business and public, evangelizing Dynamics 365 and what is now also the Power Platform.
So what was your very first gig in Dynamics?
It rolls right back. I remember I started out in version 1.2. So I had a play with the version 1, but didn't do anything with it. It was really just for the research and then working alongside 1.2. And then I branched out into my first commercial project. I think it was 2006. I was trying to remember the date. Was it 2007? Somewhere around there, in version 3. And I do remember those days where it was for a Hamilton-based customer. And rather than driving down there, I did tell the customer I can actually deploy this thing remotely over remote desktop. And so they said, okay, I'll let you to do that. So remoted it, and I was deployed all the customizations for that implementation with a customer there in version 3, and the days of using call outs and things within XML to do what we know today as plugins. So it was a bit different, but it does bring back a few memories, because today we've had to do everything virtually. A lot of stuff virtually, clouds or in that space, so we don't actually have to be sometimes on physical site. So some of those aspects haven't changed today, but it just brought back a few memories having to do that site. And I do remember some of the customizations failing on because they were a bit too big when they were getting imported, and that spinning wheel that we're all famous of when we're seeing the import customizations, the status thing ticking along, and it failed a couple of times. Yep, you've got it. Sometimes I had to break those up. The customizations are a bit big, and put them in a piecemeal sort of fashion. But whilst we know that's where the changes are made over the years, we could patch those solutions. So you could probably think about that I was doing a manual patch operation back many years ago, but wasn't a formal one. So that's sort of where it sort of started out with Cerium. I got internally upskilled with the product, and I felt with a web service layer over a database and being able to integrate really easily, I felt there was a massive future for this product. So I was sort of dabbling around with the other core custom applications with SQL Server, ASP.NET, ASP provided that, and also SharePoint. I did find SharePoint quite black box for me, and as being a developer, I wanted to get my hands dirty inside the product, and Cerium allowed me to do that, especially with SDK. So that sort of floated my boat, and I jumped on that bandwagon, saw that it had a massive future, and look at it today. It's right up there with one of the top products within Microsoft, and is still excelling with all of us heavily involved with it, and it's got a great social and MVP family backing it as well. So it's great. That's sort of how it started out for me there, Mark.
What was your pathway to MVP? How did that come about for you 7-8 years ago?
Yeah, the pathway, I suppose I always had a passion. Once I sort of had a lot of skill sets in behind Cerium, I always wanted to give back to the community. So that's also with yourself starting that user group in 2010, and a number of different presentations that I was doing. I just sort of had that passion about at our senior level or even at intermediate level, if you've got a lot of things and a lot of great intel with the product, you should be sharing that. And I'll even champion that today with a lot of people internally within our organisation, also out in the community. Every month I sit down at the user group asking people to come forward if they've done anything great with the product or within the organisation. Let's share that. So that was sort of always been my passion. It's always been the core roots of the product and my core roots of sharing that information. So I guess that was picked up from Microsoft and other people in the community. So I did get some nominations there. And then one day I got an email in my inbox that I had been awarded the MVP award. So that was great. That was great to be honoured with that award, like we all are. And then, I've carried it on today. So it wasn't, just ticking a box and getting the award. I'm still doing that over 10 years later. Still got that passion to be delivering content and helping the community with Dynamics and now the Power Platform as well.
Yeah, so good, so good. What's your perception in that you've been in this field as long as I have? So, and I have observed that there's a massive change with customers. In the early days, we had to sell, we had to convince people why you should try this XRM tool and implement it, and how it could, revolutionize a business processes and things like that. And it was selling, right? We had to really sell through education. We had to educate, the art of the possible, that type of thing. I find now that customers are, they're very well educated. They've made a decision. They've made a decision around Dynamics. They made it as in because they've probably made a wide decision around Microsoft and the choices, of using Microsoft, technology. And they've also, that there seems to be a clarity around the art of what's possible. And I'm finding, particularly with a Power Platform, I almost feel like we're in the same stage, where SharePoint, all of a sudden, everybody was doing SharePoint. Everybody was using SharePoint to build anything for business. You had InfoPath, the forms management tool. You could do so much with SharePoint within an organization. And I feel like that's where we are right now with Power Apps and the Power Platform and Power Automate. That really, Power BI, businesses are really going, wow, the art of what we can do here. We can create experiences over data that are appealing to the individuals that work in an organization. What's been your perception across from, how it used to be for us to really how it is now?
Yeah, I think it's the products involved. I remember in the early days trying to sell it, and there was a lot of gaps within the product around field service or social. There's a number of areas that you could quickly identify, and people even listening to this session would identify some more of those areas that were gaps for us. So trying to sell it as a complete solution sometimes was tough, and you'd have to then come in and build those areas or customize the product in order to give it the wraparound or complete product that the customer was looking for. So that's where I think we always sort of struggled, and we're up against our competitors that we know. So we did get this software across the road, across the line, and delivered for those customers. But there was always a large amount of investment they'd have to put into us as consultants and customizations and development to get it completed. What you're finding today now that you've got an all-rounded solution now that's delivered off the shelf, that actually ticks more of those boxes from A to Z that the customer didn't have many years ago. So when they do look at the Dynamics suite now, if you look at the famous circle that's got all the different business applications on it, and then including the Power Platform, you now get a lot of product delivered off the shelf without actually engaging sometimes any consultants or customizers to bring in the extra pieces that they need. Obviously, we can configure it pretty close, and we've done that. Seen a number of products around the rapid sort of approach or off-the-shelf approach. But organizations, especially if you think of customer service or marketing, a lot of those products now can be stand up and used directly out of the box with a bit of configuration. You can stand those up pretty quickly. So what customers are wanting today is quick deployment time. They want it low cost and quick deployment time to get that system in. They don't want to be waiting, if they can, 12 months, 2 years for that software to come in. They want it in within weeks or months, early months, to get that live and operational for them. They want change, digital transformation or change happen quickly. To move them to a problem that they're trying to solve today, and they don't want that problem still to be around in 12 months' time. So you'll see a lot of those implementations now with Dynamics and Power Platform are rapidly shrunk, and you'll see a lot of products that are on top of the platform that deliver some of those gaps that may be still apparent in the product, being able to deploy those over the top of Dynamics or the Power Platform and deliver those as a bundled package to the customer. And because they're all natively now integrated within the suite of Microsoft Stack, being able to plug and play those in with the data connectors, etc., makes it a lot easier. Again, a lot of the expense, if you did an RFI or an RFP, or if you did some pricing for a statement of work, the big chunks of those costings were around data migration or integration. So being able to bring those products directly together, been in them part of the stack, and that now they natively integrate a lot easier, that those costs reduce. If you even look at the Power Apps portal, there's no integration layer that you need to develop there. You can stand up portals very quickly for government agencies. The information can be exposed to the public. Stakeholders can interact with the agencies very quickly to get that information into the agency and out of the agency as well. So, I think that's probably the way it sums it up there, Mark, that it's the solutions are more completed, if you like, and they're quicker to deliver today than many years ago when we had to still build a lot of that, those components. So that's where the Power Apps has come out, because it's a low-code development. So you'll see, and I've been a developer as well, and developers around there will be screaming a little bit that, no, we still need our code. But you're still involved because you still need to configure and put those together, especially from like design thinking sessions to bring the art of the possible out of those products. But yeah, there's little code that you need to put together these days in order to stand up something really rich that can be delivered for a customer very quickly. And they're adopting that now. So you see the introduction of Fusion Teams where partners and consultants are coming together with the customer side of those teams and being joined together and fusing themselves together, if you like, if you want to spin that word, to deliver those solutions very quickly, and the customer can take that on board depending on how mature they are themselves and press forward and support and maintain those solutions going forward.
So good. Final question. What's on your radar for 2022?
In respect to the community or respect to the products there, mate?
What's your expectations for this year around both community and products, I suppose?
Yeah, the community one's going to be a status. It's probably going to be similar to 2021, given that we've still got some of the COVID restrictions here in New Zealand. We're still battling the Omicron here, and that's going to be this. We're not at the peak of that. So the virtual sessions with our Dynamics 365 user group and Power Platform will be still virtual. I'm looking forward to getting those back into person so that we can interact and people face to face. Even speaking engagements. I used to love coming across the Tasman to Australia and speaking in those sessions. Again, it's all dependent on border. The borders are loosening. So COVID's having a little bit of impact on us sharing more than we would like to under the MVP banner and getting out there. So we're trying to do as much as we can virtually and create virtual sessions where applicable to share that content for the community. If we take a step into the realm of Dynamics 365, probably in the Power Platform, again, it's a big driver, I think, around data, insights and AI. That's where, the solutions, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, are sort of cemented. Those features are there. They're always going to be improved. If you look at the release wave, notes from 2022 this year that's been dropped by Microsoft, you'll see there's a lot of feature-rich information in there. But where the products are driving is all around insights, data, and artificial intelligence. So those areas which are really going to lift us to that next paradigm within the Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform space to really take data to another level. Once you've understood data, understand where you can do and shift data around, move data, analyze data, put insights against that data, that's really when you turn your solution into another level.
Greg, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, much appreciated.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.